Let us evaluate the integral of sine to the power 4 of x. When dealing with an integral of sine and your exponent is an even number, you would want to use this trigonometric identity wherein sine squared of x would be equal to 1 minus cosine twice of the value of x over 2. So, since what we need here is a sine squared of x, we must condense this. And this would be the integral of sine squared of x raised to the power of 2. Be aware that this is the same as sine to the power 4 of x. We just move it into this form because we would want it to transform in here. Next step would be to transform now that we have achieved our goal. This would be 1 minus cosine twice of our value of x here is simply x, so this would be 2x over 2 raised to the power of 2 multiplied by dx. This should be dx. The next step would be to actually get rid of the denominator here since it is a number. But since it is squared in here, know that this is the same as the integral of 1 minus cosine 2x raised to the power of 2 over 2 squared of dx. 2 squared here is simply 4, and we can actually put it outside the integral, which makes this 1/4 since this is a denominator. Integral of 1 minus cosine of 2x raised to the power of 2 of dx. The next step would be to expand this expression. Just a reminder, the formula for this would be a minus b squared would be equal to a squared minus twice of ab plus b squared. Note that a here represents 1 and b here represents cosine of 2x. By that formula, this would be a squared here is simply 1 squared, which is equal to 1, minus 2, a here is 1, multiply it by b, which is cosine 2x, plus b squared, which is cosine 2x squared, or this can be cosine squared of 2x. And now, you can actually see here, we have an expression of 1 minus 2 cosine of 2x plus cosine squared of 2x. You see here, we have an integral of cosine, and it is raised to an even exponent. It is an addition to what I said earlier whenever dealing with an integral of sine, and that also includes a cosine, and your exponent is an even number. You would want to use this other formula, which is cosine squared of x would be equal to 1 plus cosine multiplied by twice of your value of x over 2. So with that, since what we have here is a cosine squared of 2x, we can transform this first, rewriting the given values first. And so we can transform this now. So this would be cosine squared of 2x. This would be 1 plus cosine twice of our value of x right here now would be 2x. So this would be 2x. 2 multiplied by 2x would be equal to 4x. Over 2 of dx. Simplify this. We can actually split this first in order to simplify. since they both have the same denominator, we can split this, which is 1/2 plus cosine 4x over 2 multiplied by the x. The reason that we had split this apart, it is because we would want to combine 1/2 and 1 in here. 1/2 plus 1 would be equal to 3/2. And copy the rest, which is 2 cosine of 2x plus cosine of 4x divide by 2 of dx. Now that we have this, you can see here, we can easily integrate the first part, or if you want, let us split this integral into 3 parts. So this would be the integral of 3/2 of dx minus the integral of 2 cosine of 2x. But since we have a constant here, we can actually put it outside. So this makes it 2 integral of cosine of 2x of dx. Let me just rewrite this. Plus the integral of cosine of 4x dx over 2. But since this is a constant, we can put it outside the integral again. So this would be 1/2. Remember that it is all multiplied by 1/4. We just put it there. So since we can easily integrate this, let us leave this alone first and focus on this second part, which is the integral of cosine of 2x dx. So we cannot simply integrate cosine of 2x here because we have a variable that is not single. Know that based on your formulas, the integral of cosine of x would be equal to sine of x. But remember, it is only x, not 2x. So what we would want to do here is to make a u substitution in order to have a single variable. Focusing on this, let u here be cosine, simply 2x. And when doing u substitution, take the derivative of it. The derivative of 2x is simply 2 and multiply it by dx since it is respect to x. Next step would be to isolate dx here in order to substitute it in here, which makes it dx equal to du over 2. So we can substitute this. This would be cosine of u, and dx right here would be equal to du over 2. So with that, putting outside 2, this would be 2 over 2, which will cancel, integral of cosine of u du. And the integral of cosine of u du, as we had said earlier, it would be equal to sine of u plus c, but we would not put it yet because remember we have the last part, so it is not yet necessary. And in order to get its final answer, put u back into its original form, which is 2x. So this would be sine of 2x. So this is the integral of this. But first, let us take the integral of 3/2 of dx. It is simply 3/2 of x. since you would want to put 3/2 outside the integral and take the integral of dx, which is x. So this should be minus. Let me just rewrite this. So this should be 1/4 multiplied by 3/2 of x minus sine of 2x. And now, let us focus on the third part of this. Taking the integral of cosine to the power of cosine of 4x, So we have a variable here that is not singular, so we would want to use u substitution again. So let u here again be 4x. Take the derivative, which is 4, and multiply it by dx. And isolating dx, we would have a value of du over 4. So by that, let us just put 1/2 in here first and multiply it by the integral of cosine 4x. So this should be cosine of u multiplied by dx, which is du over 4. So putting 4 outside the integral, this should be 1/4 integral of cosine of u du. And so 1/4 multiplied by 1/2 would be equal to 1/8. So that can be erased. And taking the integral of cosine of u, we know that it is equal to sine of u plus c. And so in order to get the final answer here, put u back into its original form, which is 4x. But this is not yet the final answer, because remember we have the 1/4 in here. One-fourth multiplied by 3/2 would be equal to 3 over 8 of x minus 1/4 multiplied by this, which is 1/4 sine of 2x, and 1/4 multiplied by this, 1/4 multiplied by 1/8 would be 1 over 32 of sine of 4x plus c. And so this should be your final answer regarding sine to the power 4 of x.